Okay, Bismillah. All right, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, everybody. Just come and settle in while we're about to start in 5 minutes, inshallah ta'ala. All right, let's just test the screen share. Okay. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Welcome, everybody, to this special webinar. And once you're here, just say your name, where you're from, and what you do. We're starting in 5 minutes, inshallah ta'ala. Okay. All right. Just get the slides going. All right, Bismillah. What I'll do is I'm gonna get these files. MashaAllah, with 300 people signed up. Awesome. So guys, introduce yourself in the chat, where you're from, your name. Okay, and just give me 5 minutes while I get this slides up and running, inshallah. All right, Bismillah. Okie dokie. There we go. All righty. Let's share the screen. And let me try go full screen. Okay, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, alhamdulillah, wa salatu wassalam ala rasulillah wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'een. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh. And thank you all so much for coming on time. We're starting in 3 minutes, inshallah ta'ala. And just want to say, Jazakumullah khair, we got a lot of people from around the world. Just look at those names, from Sumaya from Pakistan, from Nurul from UK, from Humaira from the US, really from Sadiq from Nigeria. We have also from India and Germany and UK again, and Bangladesh. Subhanallah, awesome. There's a lot of people, mashallah. Jazakumullah khair so much, and really, really appreciate you guys to signing up and getting ready. We got from Saudi, from Chicago, from India, from Ottawa, Canada. MashaAllah, tabarakallah. Awesome, guys. Really, really appreciate you coming on time. So starting in 2 minutes, and inshallah in 2 minutes, we'll start our how to lead a productive 10 last nights of Ramadan. This is it, guys. Just one last stretch, the last sprint. We're almost there. And inshallah ta'ala, this will be a great 10 nights for everybody, inshallah. MashaAllah, got Rauda from Singapore, got Riyaz from Kuwait, Zahra from London, from Brunei, from Seattle. We also got Alice from Dallas, from Sri Lanka, from Canada, from Bosnia, mashallah. We got also from Canada, Sri Lanka, from Saudi, from London. Awesome, guys. Really, really appreciate you guys coming on time. This is great stuff. This is really, really great stuff. Jazakumullah khair. From Albania, mashallah. From Lagos, from Nigeria. MashaAllah, tabarakallah. Great stuff, guys. Great stuff. Okay. So some housekeeping rules. So basically, we will, when we start this presentation, we will continue all the way till the end, and we'll save the questions for the end. Also, we have Sister Malika with us. She's supporting me on this program, so she'll be answering your questions in the chat. And also, we will be playing some videos throughout this throughout this webinar. So if you live in a country where YouTube is inaccessible, unfortunately you might not be able to see these videos, but we promise that we'll send you the videos in Vimeo after this presentation. So inshallah ta'ala, we will make the most of this video. So please bear with us. We will try to present this present this presentation as much as possible and to finish within 45 minutes the presentation, and we're going to open up for Q&A towards the end. So with that, we're about to start. So you guys ready? All set? Ready for a super productive last 10 nights? All right, bismillah, let's begin. Okay. All right, bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Okay, so Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, alhamdulillah, wa salatu wassalam ala rasulillah, wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in, alhamdulillah rabbil alameen, wa salatu wassalam ala ashrafil anbiya mursaleen, sayyidina nabiyina Muhammad, wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in, rabbi shrah li sadri, wa yassir li amri, wa hlul 'uqdatan min lisani yafqahu qawli. Welcome to this webinar. It's a webinar between Productive Muslim and Human Appeal International. We're bringing you a webinar on how to lead a productive 10 last nights of Ramadan. We really want you to, basically, my role here today is to motivate you to make the most of the last 10 nights and to give you the practical tips you need to make the most of the last 10 nights. There's a lot of things happening. You probably are by now. You've almost finished about half of Ramadan. You're probably feeling a bit tired. You're probably feeling a bit down. You're going through the mid-Ramadan slump. I'm hoping this webinar will rejuvenate you, will get you excited again, and will hopefully give you the practical tools and practical tips, just like the way you like it from Productive Muslim, the practical stuff that will help you lead a productive 10 last nights of Ramadan. This webinar is basically a webinar with our friends from Human Appeal International, where you'll see right now, I'm going to pop up a special button on the side called a donate button, where what you want to do is throughout this webinar, this webinar is for free. I'm not selling a course, I'm not selling anything. All I want you guys to do is that please do support our friends at Human Appeal International. They're doing great work on the Gaza campaign, rebuilding Gaza. So you'll see a button on your right now should appear that says donate now. So just click on the button on the lower orange button, which basically takes you to the Human Appeal International page where you can donate. And inshallah ta'ala, throughout this button will be on throughout this webinar, so you can go anytime and support, inshallah ta'ala. So I really hope you can see this button, and hope you can also donate and basically support our friends from the Human Appeal International. So let's get back to the presentation. All right, so okay. This is the button, like I said, just check on the right-hand side above the chat button. You should see this offer coming up. So please click on it to support Human Appeal International. All right, so let's get into our topic for today. Why should you care about the last 10 nights? Why should you care about the last 10 nights of Ramadan? Why should you put your best effort into this last 10 nights of Ramadan? The last 10 nights of Ramadan is the most blessed nights of the year. I mean, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when in Surat Al-Fajr says, وَالْفَجْرِ وَلَيَالٍ عَشْرٍ, some scholars said, وَلَيَالٍ عَشْرٍ, when Allah swore by the 10 nights, some scholars referred them to the 10 days of Dhul Hijjah, and some of them referred to the 10 nights of Ramadan. So either Allah swore by these nights, and Allah does not swear by anything except it is a great thing. So He swore by these nights, the great nights. These are the nights that Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam took them very seriously. It's not that he went through extra worship on this last 10 nights. When you hear the hadith from Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, you see that he used to spend the last 10 nights, he used to spend in i'tikaf, he used to wake up his family so that they pray. He really took these nights seriously, and he made sure those around him took these nights seriously. So at least from our perspective, the least we could do is also follow the footsteps of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, because if he took them seriously, that means something we should seriously consider very well. And of course, this is the night that has Laylatul Qadr. Now, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Prophet Muhammad taught us that the Ramadan is divided into 3 parts. The first 10 nights is rahmah, it is the mercy. And the second 10 nights is maghfirah, it is forgiveness. And the last 10 nights is itq min al-niran, which means to be saved from the hellfire. Now, or free from the hellfire. Now imagine, I want you to have this image in your mind. Imagine that you have a chain around your neck, and imagine this chain is controlled by shaitan, and shaitan comes every day and tries to drag you slowly but surely towards hellfire. Now Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala comes and he gives you this itq min niran. He frees you from this hellfire, where he actually removes this chain from you, and once you're removed, you are free. And when you're free, you'll never be held a slave again to shaitan, a slave again to your desires. So being Allah, when Allah gives you itq min niran, when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala frees you from the hellfire, that is actually a huge reward. It's not something we should take lightly. It's something we should be crying and begging Allah for every single night. Because when Allah frees you from hellfire, when he frees you and he just takes you away, he frees you from hellfire, that means you'll never be chained again. And this is one of the most generous things. In the olden days, when slavery used to be prominent, in the olden days, when a master used to free his slave, it was considered dishonorable for the master to slave the man again. So once he's freed the slave, the man is free for life. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is our Rabb, he's our master, and he's the most noble, and he's the one who, when he frees, he will never chain us again. So make sure that we want to achieve this every single night of Ramadan. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he frees some of his slaves from hellfire, and in the last night of the Ramadan, the last night of this month, he actually frees as much as he freed the whole month. So it's a very, very blessed time. It's a time we should be asking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for support, for him to free us from this from the chains that might drag us to the hellfire. Now, of course, in these last 10 nights, of course, is Laylatul Qadr. And I'm sure all of you know about Laylatul Qadr. This is the night when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala revealed the Quran. This is the night when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala brought the Quran from Lawh al-Mahfuz, from the protected scrolls, all the way to Sama ad-Dunya, which is the heaven, to the skies of this heaven. This is the night when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran, it is better than 1,000 months. Better than 1,000 months. Now, think about it, 1,000 months, that's like 83 years. So whatever you do in that night is like multiplied by 83 years. Can you imagine living multiple times? There's a story that Nuh alayhi salam, you remember Prophet Nuh alayhi salam, the people, the generation of Nuh alayhi salam used to live very long, used to live 1,000 years and plus. That was their nature, used to live very, very long. So one day a woman came crying to Nuh alayhi salam, and she said, my son died and he was very young. So Nuh alayhi salam said, how old is he when he died? She said he was 200 years old. That was considered young for their time. So imagine, Nuh alayhi salam told her, there'll be people who'll come after you who will only live 60 to 70 years. And this is basically us generation, this ummah is living 60, 70, 80 years maximum. So the woman said, if I was one of them, I will spend my entire life in sujood. So imagine the fact that we live very, very short periods of time, but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, what he did to compensate us and make us achieve what the old generations did who lived for thousands of years, he actually gave us the ability he multiplied our deeds. So every good deed is by 10 good deeds, and he gives us Laylatul Qadr, and he multiplies our sadaqah up to 700 times, even more. So he multiplies our deeds so that as if we've lived that long, as if we've lived for many, many generations, and not just the 60, 70 years. And Laylatul Qadr to me is like the most productive night of the year. Think about it. If you were to define productivity as output over input, how much you get out from the input you get in, then think about the effort you put in Laylatul Qadr and think about the results. Here's an example. Imagine that you have a worker who works, for 3 hours, and he produces, let's say, 10 widgets, okay, 10 products or 10 widgets. And then you have another worker, he works the same amount of hours for 3 hours, but he produces 100 widgets. Which one is more productive? The second worker, of course, because the same input, the same work, the same amount of time, the same amount of skills. And the guy who did, produced 100 is much more productive. He did much more than the input he put in. Similarly, when you have the Laylatul Qadr, when the amount of effort you put in, this one night you put in Laylatul Qadr, and it is the night that, Allah multiplies the reward by as if it's better than 1,000 months, like 1,000 nights, which is like, it's like 83 years, imagine. And I really highly recommend for you to spend some time today as a homework from this webinar. I want you to spend some time and read the tafsir of Surat Laylatul Qadr, of Surat Al-Qadr. I want you to read the tafsir or listen to the tafsir. For example, you can listen to the Bayina program. You can listen to Nu'man Ali Khan or some of the scholars who talk about Laylatul Laylatul Qadr, because you will get so excited and you will not want to miss Laylatul Qadr. You will not want to miss it because it's such a blessed night. It is what I call the most productive night of the year, the most spiritual night of the year, the night that you want to give it your best. So this is all to get you excited, but I don't want to go into the sort of spiritual aspect because my role here is to really help you make the most of these last 10 nights. My role here is to give you the practical tools. You can listen to all the sort of inspirational, motivational lectures from our scholars and imams and teachers, and I really recommend that you do so you can get yourself motivated. I'm here to give you the techniques and tips to help you make the most of these last 10 nights. But before that, little break here, we give you a little cartoon. We like to share some cartoons for our audience. So here's a cartoon from Productive Muslim about the last 10 nights. All right, so I hope you guys enjoyed this small cartoon, which is basically to remind you that the last 10 nights really is about making the most of your ibadah. It's not about shopping. It's not about wasting time. It's really about making the most 10 nights, inshallah ta'ala. So back to the webinar, to the presentation. Okay, so how do you make the most of the last 10 nights? So there's three things I want you to remember. You need to plan, you need to prepare, you need to make it special. Okay, you need to plan, you need to prepare, you make it special. We go through each of these in detail in today's webinar. Okay, plan. There's three parts you want to plan. You're going to plan your activities, you're going to plan your night and day, and you're going to plan your special act, your special deed. Inshallah, also I'll go into this into detail right now. The plan your activities. What will you do differently in the last 10 nights? Now, you've had 20 days of Ramadan so far, or not 20 days, but just over half Ramadan so far. The question you want to ask yourself is, okay, now that I've had my Ramadan so far, now that I kind of built my routine, now that I've managed to get into Taraweeh and started doing things, what will I do differently in the last 10 nights? Because you really want to step up your game in the last 10 nights. It cannot be the same 10 nights that you've had so far. It cannot be the same stuff you've been doing. You need to push yourself in the last. It's almost like a marathon runner. You've gone through a marathon, and normally the last mile is when you sprint. You really sort of run for it. You just go for it. And this is what exactly where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has put the Laylatul Qadr in the last 10 nights, and he kind of hid it from us. He didn't tell us exactly when it's going to be, but he told us it's one of the last 10 nights. So it's for us to really sprint and push ourselves so that we can make the most of these last 10 nights. So you need to ask yourself some questions. Will I do i'tikaf? For those of you who are new converts or who don't know the word i'tikaf simply means that you seclude yourself in a place of worship, ideally in a masjid, and you sort of contemplate and focus on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You either make adhkar, remembering of Allah, you either read some Quran, you either make some dua, but you are sitting there and you're holding yourself. You're not going to work, you're not spending time with your family, you're just secluding yourself for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Now, scholars say that you can either do it for the whole 10 nights, some people do that, and so that's the most recommended. That's the way the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam used to do. But you can also, some people do it, you can also do it for like one night even, or even a few hours even. But the idea is that you dedicate, you have the intention for some of this night to be in i'tikaf. Now, I recommend, if you were really interested to do i'tikaf, is to read about it and to learn from scholars about it who can give you the do's and don'ts of i'tikaf. But the basic general principle is that you seclude yourself for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in a place of worship, and you're asking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for his support, and you're asking Allah subhanahu, and you're really connecting spiritually. And the point of i'tikaf, if you think about it, you've so far have been withholding your physical desires, for the sake of Allah. You've been holding your food, your drink for the sake of Allah while fasting. What i'tikaf does is that now your heart and your brain is fasting. It's almost like you're almost fasting from all the distractions, work and home and everything. You're just focusing solely on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and you're actually repeating the sunnah of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And I really, really recommend that you even experience it this Ramadan, even for one night only. Go to the masjid at Taraweeh and stay all the way till suhoor or till Fajr with the niyyah of doing i'tikaf, and just experience being just focusing on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, nothing else, no distractions, no phone, no Facebook, no messaging, just you and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, either reading Quran, making dua, or praying. And this is something I highly recommend you to do. So ask yourself, when will I do i'tikaf? Will it be every day? Will it be some days? Will it be some hours? When will those hours be? Make sure that you plan for it. Don't just say, yeah, I'll see what happens, or I'll see when I'll do it. You have to plan first, so that you really in advance think about these things and basically almost like schedule in. So you tell your family, you tell your friends, you tell people, hey, listen, I'm going for i'tikaf, or I won't be here for a few days. But you really gotta plan ahead of time. Second one, will you do tahajjud qiyam al-layl? Again, for those of you who are new Muslims, perhaps you don't know about this, that once the night prayer we do after Isha, Taraweeh prayers, is also an extra prayer that goes after, closer to Fajr time, closer to Suhoor time, called tahajjud or qiyam al-layl. Again, these are extra worship. I ask you, will I do them? Which day? Some people say we'll do the odd nights of Ramadan, because of odd nights of the last 10 nights, because as you probably know, that the last 10 nights, we don't know when Laylatul Qadr exactly is. Some people say it's 27th, some people say 25th, some people say 23rd. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, actually, His from wisdom, He hid it from us so that we work hard throughout the last 10 nights. But majority of scholars can agree that it's one of the odd nights, which is 21st or 23rd or 25th or 27th or 29th. So some people say, well, we'll focus our efforts in this odd nights. Personally, I'll say don't take a chance. Focus on all 10 nights. But if you really have to, if you have work, you're kind of busy, think about which nights you'll focus on. But at least you kind of make sure you plan for it, make sure you kind of preempt yourself, and not just say, oh, I'll see how I feel that day. You really have to plan for it, so that you arrange yourself, arrange your sleep, arrange your family, so that it's all you're going for. You don't sort of stumble upon the last 10 nights. Will you go for Umrah? For those of you who live close to, like live in Saudi or live in somewhere where you can have access to Umrah, will you go for Umrah in the last 10 nights? Again, something that's you think about. If you're able to pull the visa and the costs within the next few days, ask about, will you take some 10 days leave work? Now, normally, as part of Productive Muslim, I don't recommend that you sort of take time off work for Ramadan. However, in the last 10 nights, because the last 10 nights is about ibadah. It's about secluding yourself to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It's about ibadah. So I really recommend that if you're able to, if you have some days off from work, leaves from work, do take them off, or do some of it, maybe not all of it, but maybe the last 5 days, but really, really focus on your ibadah, because this is the time when you really don't want to miss this opportunity of getting close to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Normally throughout the Ramadan, it's fine, you can work, things are fine, but this last 10 days, last 10 nights, make sure if you're able to, that's something I would highly recommend as well. What will you do during the day? This is something very important to ask, because sometimes when we basically think that we have a focus on the nights, we forget about the day. We forget, how we'll manage our sleep, how we'll manage our work. What will we do during the day? How will we manage ourselves? So think about what will you do during the day, so that it doesn't affect your night. Because sometimes when we sort of get so busy in the day that we're so tired at night, we cannot pray at night. So think about what will you do during the day, and I'll talk more about this in the next slide. So the idea here, the basic premise here, is that plan and don't stumble on the last 10 nights. Don't just sort of hit you. The fact that you guys are here for this webinar is, mashallah, a good sign that you guys are willing to take action and to plan ahead of time. You're not sort of one of those who say, oh, it's last 10 nights. Okay, I'll figure something out to do. No, you know exactly when you'll do your i'tikaf. You'll know exactly which nights you go for tahajjud and qiyam. You'll know exactly how you can arrange your work. You'll know exactly what you do in the day to make the most of the last 10 nights. So you are planning for these last 10 nights, and you're not sort of stumbling upon them. Now, you can basically do this on a spreadsheet where you plan your night and day hour by hour. Now, again, I can't emphasize that this is the most beautiful nights. These are the most blessed nights. Are the nights when Allah can free you from your hellfires. The nights Allah multiplies your reward if you hit Laylatul Qadr 1,000 nights. So you really got to make sure that your days and nights are really well planned. And I actually recommend you just do it on a spreadsheet where you kind of put the 10 nights on the column and the hour by hour and say, what will I do? When will I sleep? When will I go masjid? When will I read Quran? When will I make dua? When will I go to work? When will I sit with my family? When will I do i'tikaf? When will I give charity? Really plan it hour by hour so that it's you do it. If you do it right, if you do it really well, then you have a super productive last 10 nights. But if you don't do it well, if you don't plan it out, guess what's going to happen? Things will fall by the wayside. You'll sort of suddenly you'll be like, oh yeah, I maybe I should be sleeping now, or oh, I should be doing this. You'll not be planning, you'll not be active, you'll not know exactly how to plan your last 10 nights. So I highly recommend on a spreadsheet or print a worksheet somewhere, or just on a piece of paper, say for each of this last 10 nights, what will I do hour by hour? How will I work this out? Now, make this last 10 nights very, very special. I mean, really cannot emphasize this enough that you really make this special. So what will you do this year? Here's a question for you. What will you do this year in the last 10 nights that's so special that you'll keep remembering each year? Say, man, that, Ramadan 2015, I went to the local orphanage and I made this huge iftar for the orphans and it was awesome. Or I went and gave charity like I've never given before. Or I went to this like elderly home and I took care of people. Like, what will you do special? What's the like really, really special thing? Make it really special. Don't just relive the same Ramadan nights you've had so far. What will you do special in the last 10 nights? Ideally every single night, but let's say you want to do it on one night only. What will you do so special, so powerful, either spiritual, either like say I'll do i'tikaf, or social, like for example, you can perhaps say I'm going to forgive this person, or I'm going to talk to this person who I haven't spoken to in so many years and really ask for his forgiveness and really clean my heart from years of hatred or something charitable, and say I'm going to do something charitable that I've never done before. I'm going to go out there, I'm going to feed the homeless for one night. I'm going to go out there, I'm going to do an iftar of an orphanage. I'm going to go out there and do something special, something you've never done before. You've been thinking about it. Maybe your family talked about it, but you never actually done it. Something that you actually, with your own hands, maybe cook something and give it to people, feed people. Maybe say, I'm going to sponsor an orphan. Maybe say, I'm going to sponsor a widow. Maybe I'm going to say, I'm going to give like a huge amount of charity that I've never given before, but for the first time, I'm going to give something really huge. What will be that special act, the special deed, something you can look back next year or look back in 6 months' time, say, Alhamdulillah, in this Ramadan, last Ramadan, I did this very, very special deed in the last 10 nights. So what will it be? What will it be? Write down something right now. Write down, what will it be? Something super special, something super exciting for you, something you've never done before that will make your last 10 nights special, something charitable, something social, something spiritual, something that will, give you multiple rewards, sincerely for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's sake. What will it be? How can you make it special? And if you're part of this campaign, I really highly recommend that you do donate now to our Rebuilding Gaza campaign with Human Appeal International. Human Appeal International are working hard. They are in Gaza. They've got offices in Gaza, and they're delivering your charity to them. I'm just going to play a quick video that shows you the work they do in Gaza so that you're aware of what they do in Gaza, inshallah ta'ala, and you can donate today for their cause. So here we go. Oops. There you go. There we go. Here's the video. Okay, so I hope you watched that video. It's a video by Human Appeal International, the charity we're partnering with. It's a Muslim charity organization. It's one of the most fastest growing Muslim charity organizations in the UK. They got offices in Gaza. So I highly recommend that you do support their the donation appeal for Gaza by clicking on the button on the right hand side. You can see this button. Click here to donate, or our admin team will send you right now, put the link on the chat box so that you can also click on that link. Really recommend you to push yourselves this year, inshallah. I know there's a lot of appeals, and subhanAllah, the ummah has a lot of causes that are out there that we need to support. This is one of those causes, and inshallah, we're focusing on this cause for this webinar, and I really want you to support our brothers and sisters in Gaza to help rebuild their homes, rebuild their lives, inshallah ta'ala. Okay. So we spoke about planning activities so far. Now we're going to talk about preparation. So you kind of plan what you're going to do hour by hour, but that's not enough. You're now going to prepare yourself. You're going to prepare your dua list, prepare your i'tikaf pack if you're going to do i'tikaf, prepare your workload, prepare your family, and prepare for your special project, something really, really special that you're going to work on. So let's go into each one of them. Number one, prepare your dua list. First of all, make sure you memorize the dua that is taught by Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam to Aisha anha, who said, "Oh, Prophet Allah, if I do witness the Laylatul Qadr, what should I say?" And he sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, "Say Allahumma innaka afuwun tuhibbul afwa fa'fu anni." Oh Allah, you are forgiving and you love forgiveness, so forgive me. Now, unfortunately, the word forgiving doesn't really capture the meaning of afu. Afu is a form of forgiveness. You know how sometimes, let me give you an example. You know how sometimes, let's say someone did something bad to you, right? And you forgive them, but you always hold the grudge. You always have something in the back of your mind that, yeah, I remember that time you did this to me, and kind of have it in the back of your mind. So that's not afu. That's called, you forgive the person, but you're not really, you in the back of your mind, you kind of hold a little thought that, you remember what they did. Afu is when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is afu, He not only forgives you, but on the day of judgment, He makes you forget that you even did the sin. So you didn't know you did the sin. So imagine day of judgment, you come in and you see your sin, that Allah is afu, He gives you afu. Not only He forgives you, but He forgives in such a way that you also He doesn't remind you of the sin, and you don't even remember the sin. So it's a very powerful form of forgiveness. It's very high level forgiveness that we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to forgive us all. So when you ask Allah for afu, think about this meaning that it's not just He'll forgive you, but He will forgive you, and He will not, because sometimes we feel guilty of some sins we've committed. So on the day of judgment, instead of seeing all these sins, we actually on the day of judgment, we're gonna realize, subhanAllah, will make us forget that we even did this in the first place. And that's part of Him being afu, that He is being the most forgiving. And also, in addition to this dua, also prepare a short list of focused dua, things that you want to ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for. I mean, I highly recommend you do this. Have a dua journal, like a journal where you keep track of your du'as and see which ones have been answered for you. And it's a beautiful way to connect to Allah. How many times Allah has answered our du'as we never realized, or we never remembered because it's so engrossed and so ungrateful. But if I almost keep a running list of the du'as we made and almost tick them off as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala answers them for us. It really connects us to our Creator and makes us realize the power of dua. So what you do is prepare a short and focused list of du'as, maybe 6 du'as maybe. For example, our friends at Visionary Online, this course taught by Muhammad al-Sharif, he has a very good sort of system of having a really focused list of du'as that you sort of ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala daily for, and really with the sincere understanding and sincere meaning that He will answer your du'as. So I really recommend that you prepare a short, focused list of du'as that that you're gonna ask Allah things from this life, things from the hereafter. You don't have to be shy about it. Don't say, oh, it's too much or something. You're asking Allah, the King of Kings. You ask Allah, who is the Creator and who can do anything for you. He wants you to ask Him. Allah gets angry if you don't ask Him. People get angry if you ask Him too much, but Allah gets angry if you don't ask Him. So do ask Him. Ask Him and ask Him and ask Him, and make sure you have this list always ready with you. Now, next thing to prepare is your i'tikaf pack. So I'll give the blue things, the things you should pack, and the red list, the things you should not pack. Things to pack, of course, personal copy of Quran, pen and paper, so you can write a dua journal or write in your journal just as you reflect and as you go deeper and deeper into yourself. having this dua journal helps you. This journal helps you to go understand yourself deeper, understand some of your weaknesses, some of the things that you ask Allah to help you with. Have a dua book. Of course, if you have your list of du'as, is great. If you for those times when you feel that you need extra du'as and you can't think of any new du'as, having a dua book helps as well. If you're going to stay in the masjid for some time, change of clothes helps so that you don't smell fresh and you don't sort of make it very hard for those coming in the masjid. So make sure you have a change of clothes as well. Use a siwak. Siwak is like a little twig you can brush your teeth with. It keeps your mouth fresh. Again, this is part of the sunnah. Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam used to love the siwak. He used to brush his teeth with the siwak very, very often. Have some classical Islamic books with you, perhaps, for example, some Riyadh al-Salihin or some books of ahadith or some books of tafsir, which again helps you get closer and get closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Have some perfume on so that you can again smell nice and feel fresh when you smell nice. And have a pack of dates and water bottles. So you don't have to get up and get food every single time. You can always, throughout the night, you can have a pack of dates and water bottle as you sort of pray your i'tikaf. So as you focus on your i'tikaf. The not to pack list. No, do not pack your laptop. Yes, you might say, I want to listen to lectures and stuff. This is not the time for that. Do not pack MP3 players, CD players, mini DVD players. You might say, I want to listen to so-and-so sheikh and I want to listen to Quran. No, this is a time for you to focus on you and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's it. No, I don't want you to distract yourself. Just focus on you and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. No iPods, no iPads, no device that can access your email or Facebook or Twitter or Skype or anything like that other than your phone. If you can, downgrade to like a basic, all those old Nokia phones you used to have, maybe some of that, that's great. If you can't, you need to have your phone, then, turn off notifications from WhatsApp, turn off notifications from your emails, turn off notifications from your Facebook, from any notification that can distract you, and really just use your phone for emergencies, to check on your family and see how things are going. Try to avoid non-Islamic books, magazines. It's not the time to get your National Geographic or to get your Harvard Business Review. This is the time for you to focus on yourself and your connection to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So really, these are the practical things to prepare. If you're going to go for i'tikaf, especially if you go multiple days, even if you go for a few hours, be prepared. You don't want to go there and start fidgeting and start looking for things and start, or having stuff which you don't need, like laptops and CDs and have iPods and iPads. I mean, I've seen some really crazy stuff with people doing i'tikaf. So I really recommend that you focus on your relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and on what you want to do in the i'tikaf. So we spoke about preparing your dua list. We spoke about preparing your i'tikaf pack. The third is to prepare your workload during the day. So as I mentioned before, will you take 10 days off or not? Or will you take some days off or not? How will you arrange your deadlines? For example, do you have deadlines coming up? Can you push them till after Eid? Can you bring them closer and finish them up before before that 10 days, so that you're not as stressed in the 10 days of Ramadan, last 10 days of Ramadan? How will you arrange your commitments to your clients, to your coworkers, to your boss? I mean, you need to think about this almost like a life event. Imagine like if you're having a baby, if your wife is expecting, or if you're a working mother and you're expecting a child, you will kind of rearrange yourself, right? You arrange your workload, you arrange your clients, you rearrange everything around the birth of your child, because that's so important. Same thing, you gotta be upfront and not shy about the importance of the last 10 nights, and tell your boss, coworkers, client, hey, listen, I won't be available this time because I'll be focused last 10 nights, or I will not be available, I really need to focus. Or, again, if you have to go to work, if things are important, if things need to get done, then do turn up, but really try to manage your work in such a way so that you can at least make some of the night. So I don't ask you to the whole night, even some of the night, so that you can maybe go an hour later at work, maybe go, come back home and rest a bit before iftar. Think about how you're going to manage your workload during the day so that you can make most of it of the night. Don't expect you to be superhumans, and please don't go on overdrive caffeine and trying to keep yourself up with some overdrive drinks and at night and stuff. All you need is to rest well during the day, try to manage your workload, and really focus on your ibadah and ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to help you do that. If you have the sincere intentions, and try your best. Again, every person is different. If you're a doctor, if you're a teacher, if you're somebody who really has to turn up to work every single day and work some very hard work hours, again, these are things, every person is different depending on the situation, but you really got to seriously treat this as a life event. Like I said, if you have a birth of a child, you will do whatever it takes to make sure that things are taken care of, and you can sort of focus on your birth of a child. Same thing, think about how can you focus on the last 10 nights as much as possible. So that's the third thing, prepare. Prepare your family. So talk to your children, talk to your spouses about the last 10 nights. I hope that you're watching this webinar with your family so that they really enjoy this and learn together. Discuss how you'll make it special. What special thing as a family you'll do. Maybe as a family you'll do that special project I spoke to you about earlier, that you'll go out and give to the poor, or you'll go out and do something really special this Ramadan in the last 10 nights you've never done before. What will you make? How can you make it special with your family? Discuss arrangements. For example, if you or your spouse will go for i'tikaf, I see a lot of questions coming in saying, is it allowed for women to go for i'tikaf? The scholars say yes, with the permission of a husband. So, husbands, if you spending a couple of days at work, during this couple of days at home, take care of the children while your wife goes out for i'tikaf, that's something that's, inshallah, Allah rewards you. You get double reward. One, because you let your wife to go and worship, and you take care of your family. So please do think of arrangements between yourselves. Do think of arrangements between you and your spouse, and who's going to go for i'tikaf, how we're going to arrange it, which nights will we do it, who's going to take care of the children while we're away. All these things, talk about the arrangements, and don't just sort of throw it up on the day of on the last 10 nights. Prepare your children, make them excited. We had on our Facebook, we posted this idea of having an i'tikaf tent. So I have like a little mini tent for them at home in their bedrooms, and put like i'tikaf tent, and they go inside, read the Quran, something really cute and something really fun they can do at home. So I really recommend you to basically prepare your children for it and make them excited and plan some activities for them to do so, inshallah ta'ala. So prepare your family. Don't just do it alone. Don't be selfish in Ramadan. In the last 10 nights, you want the whole family to benefit from it. If you agree that perhaps, if the husband will go for 10 nights, then see how we can make arrangements, make it easy for them in these 10 nights without you. See what you can do, plan for it. If all of you can go, if you have older children and all of you can go for i'tikaf, great. If some of you can go some nights, some of you go other nights, great. If you special projects to work together, just talk to your family, see what you can do so these last 10 nights are special and they're not wasted as the nights go by. Finally, prepare for your special social charitable projects. So make all the arrangement in advance. So you're going to do any bookings, raise any funds, do all the catering, whatever you need to do to make sure that agree on the dates, whatever you need to do, contact the organizations you'll work with. Whatever you need to make sure you make them before the last 10 nights begin, so that on the last 10 nights begin, you're not so busy doing this stuff. You are there to basically execute on the social charitable project you're on. So we spoke about 5 things. Again, remind me. So special project, prepare for your special project, prepare your family, prepare your workload, prepare your i'tikaf pack if you're going for i'tikaf, and prepare for your dua list. Alrighty. Finally, I said, make it special. Live each night like it's your last 10 nights. Whenever you feel you want to give up, remember you could miss the night, the Laylatul Qadr night, and take it day by day. Sometimes you'll come up points like, oh man, forget it. I'm just too tired. I can't do this. And the best thing you can do is to say one more step, one more night. Just say one more night. It's just one more night. And keep doing it every single night. You say, oh man, I can't. You wake up in the morning, you're so tired, man, I can't do this. Or you're at work and you're like, oh my goodness, I really can't do this. And you say, just one more night. Just one more night. And you keep saying that to yourself every single night. So inshallah, by the last night, you've made it every single night and made it the best nights of the last 10 nights of Ramadan, inshallah ta'ala. I hope that you really make this truly special, because you don't want to miss the virtues of the last 10 nights, inshallah ta'ala. Finally, some pro tips. So these tips actually someone shared with me via WhatsApp from Sheikh Muhammad Tawfiq Chowdhury. He says, do not let your performance until now affect your last 10 nights. You might have a bad Ramadan, right? You might not have finished the Quran so far. Maybe you have not even started reading it. Maybe you've missed Taraweeh so many times. Maybe you've missed some prayers even. You've just had a really bad Ramadan for some reason or another. Don't let that affect your last 10 nights. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is out of his mercy. He sent the last 10 nights almost like this last rejuvenating, motivating, just go for it. The last 10 nights, let's make the most of it, inshallah ta'ala, so that we can benefit from, so that you make the most of this last 10 nights. So don't let your performance up until now affect your last 10 nights. Really focus on making the most of the last 10 nights. Another number 2, I said, do not wait for the 27th night. A lot of people say we'll just focus 27th night. Yes, there are some, scholars who kind of sort of emphasize that the 27th night is the night of Laylatul Qadr, but there is not confirmed by hadith or Quran that it is the exact 27th night. So it really is hard to get the final confirmation. Otherwise, everyone will sort of focus. Majority of scholars say the best way to make sure that you do not miss the 27th, do not miss the Laylatul Qadr night, is to focus on the entire last night, the whole last night, every single night. This is the Sunnah, Prophet. This is what he did. This is what he showed us to do. He didn't only worship Allah on one night in the last 10 nights. He worshipped throughout. He put in his effort in the whole of the last 10 nights, inshallah ta'ala. Make sure you take brief naps during the day. So take a nap after sunrise, take a nap at lunch break at work, take a nap when you come back from home from work, take a nap maybe between the Taraweeh and the Qiyam al-Layl. You take these 20-minute or 40-minute naps. They really help you keep you going, because all you got to do is you got to make sure just focus on the next goal. Like, if you reach home, you're really tired, so take a nap so they can make it till Taraweeh, and then once the Taraweeh, take another nap so you can make it till Qiyam al-Layl. Just take brief naps so that you can sort of make it the next step and make it all the way to the last 10 nights. Choose a spot in the masjid where you're not distracted and you can have peace and solitude. Again, guys, i'tikaf is not a camping. Some of the young guys go for i'tikaf, they take it as camping and they sort of talk and chat and really play games on their phones. It's not camping. It is a time for seclusion with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So you want somewhere where you have peace and solitude, where you can sit and really contemplate on your life, contemplate on your sins, contemplate on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, contemplate on the meanings of the Quran, contemplate on how you're going to improve yourself, contemplate how you're going to do after Ramadan. All these things should be coming through your mind as you sort of sit in a peaceful and solitude state doing i'tikaf. If you find yourself feeling sleepy, and by the way, it can get very boring. And this is again one of the things, because we're not used to not doing anything. We're so used to checking our phones or calling somebody or be out and about and do things. So i'tikaf comes and almost like it really holds you down. So unless you're used to it, you'll find it very hard initially. So the first few hours especially gets extremely, you might feel very sleepy or very boring. What you want to do is varied acts of worship. So if you do qiyam, do some heartfelt dua, read some Quran, write in the journal, just go make wudu, refresh yourself, come back. So keep alternating as much as possible and keep pushing the hours so that until you really make it through these last 10 nights. But if you're finding yourself bored, again, don't be tempted to check your phone or to start chatting with, start wasting time in this. These are precious nights, these are precious days. Make sure you make the most of them, inshallah ta'ala. So finally, I just want to say that, if you were in this last 10 nights, the slogan or the motto in your mind, the thought that should be in your mind always is better than 1,000 months. Just Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala telling you that it's better than 1,000 months. That should be your motivation. The fact that you can, in one night, the deeds you'll do will be better than 1,000 months. That is something that's very special. And that is something you want to seek as much as, better than 1,000 nights. Sorry, I made the mistake here. It's actually 1,000 nights, not months. Sorry, my mistake. It's supposed to be better than 1,000 nights. Alf layla. So if you are able to, do a deed that's better than 1,000 nights, that's something very, very, very special, inshallah ta'ala. So finally, again, I really recommend we're doing this Human Appeal International. This webinar is a free webinar, and really it's a charity webinar. I invite you guys for free here, and I hope that you guys, as inshallah, something, if you benefit from this webinar, I find it useful, is to donate to our friends at Human Appeal International, who really are on the ground in Gaza, really working hard to rebuild the lives of Gazans who have been really on the subject of so many war crimes so far. So I really want you guys to donate as much as possible. Donate and give and support. Just click on the button that's on the right hand side. You can see this button. Click on that orange button down there. And inshallah ta'ala, or the link that the team will put up for you. And inshallah, may Allah accept from you. And think about ways that you could raise funds perhaps for Gaza during the last night. Maybe you can do a special iftar dinner with your family and friends and raise for Gaza, for example. Do something special this last 10 nights so that you can make off the most of the last 10 nights. Okay, so now we're going to move on to the Q&A, and I'm going to answer some questions. I'm going to here for 15 minutes. I'm going to answer some questions, inshallah ta'ala. And we're going to, okay. All right, so thanks guys for, oh yeah, you're right. Sorry, I made a mistake again. I kept saying 1,000 months. It is 1,000 months, not even 1,000 nights. Sorry, you're right. Alf shahr. You're right. Absolutely. I always get confused there. So Jazakumullah khair. So for those of you who said it is correct, better than 1,000 months. It is months, not even nights. So that's even awesome. 1,000 months, which is actually, going to make the most of your last month. So yes, it is the 1,000 months. ألف شهر خير من ألف شهر. So it is the last month. So really appreciate you guys correcting me on that. May Allah reward you guys for that. Okay. So for some questions is you will receive a recording. So some questions here, you will receive a recording of this webinar after this email, after this webinar, sorry, you'll receive a recording from us, inshallah ta'ala. Okay. So the question is, all right, I'm trying to look at these questions. A lot of questions coming in. Okay, I'll avoid answering some of these fiqhi questions. So, for example, what is allowed, not allowed in i'tikaf? Can you do i'tikaf at home or not? I'm not a scholar, so I cannot answer fiqhi questions. I highly recommend that you seek a scholar, seek an imam who can answer those questions for you. So please, I will refrain from answering questions referring to fiqh-related rulings, because that is not my area of expertise. So inshallah ta'ala, if you can really, answer those questions, anything related to productivity, that's my role, but any related to fiqh-related questions, that's not my role. I get a lot of questions who are saying that, for example, Sister Noor, she was asked about if a woman cannot pray during the final 10 nights of Ramadan, what should she do? Then we have a great article on our website, saying being spiritually productive on non-fasting days. I mean, I highly recommend you guys to check out that, for ladies to check that article out. It has some really cool tips about for ladies to be spiritually productive, to still feel the spirituality of the last 10 nights or any night of Ramadan while on days they're not praying. So I highly recommend you guys to check out that. But even a simple thing that even if you cannot pray, the fact that you can still make dua. You can still make dua. You can still make that dua that Aisha radiallahu anha was taught by Prophet Muhammad sallallahu Allahumma innaka afuun tuhibbul afwa fa'fu anna. So, all these things. So I really recommend you guys to check out the article for the ladies on how to be spiritually productive on days that you're not praying, inshallah ta'ala. Okay. Okay, I'm looking for questions. So my team's already started taking some questions. Okay. All right, so here's a question from Belgium saying that in Belgium, the nights are very short. When I come home from Taraweeh prayers, there's only 2 hours left and then it's Fajr. I want to make sure the best from these 2 hours. What should I do? Then again, I recommend if you're able to stay in the masjid from Taraweeh till Fajr, that's great. I mean, that's probably, instead of coming back home and wasting time driving back home and then going back again for Fajr, I would recommend is take your suhoor with you. Take some, if I'm sure that sometimes the suhoor will be served in the masjid, but if you're able to take some suhoor with you, some dates, some water, some fruits, maybe some these nutrient bars here that you can have it. Something and then just go and do i'tikaf in the masjid. Go from Taraweeh all the Fajr. Before Fajr, have your suhoor, pray Fajr, then come home. So that way, if you only have 2 hours between Taraweeh and Fajr, then it's basically something that I recommend you to do, where you just stay and do i'tikaf. Those 2 hours can be put the niyyah for i'tikaf and make the most of it, inshallah. Okay. Okay. All right. So the question is on how to manage studies and fasting. If you have studies going on, going on, and really in the last 10 nights and you cannot rearrange them, this is a challenge for you. You need to think about how to rearrange them. Either try to get a lot of the homework done during the day and during the school hours, so they don't have any homework in the evening, so they can focus on the last 10 nights. Either going into i'tikaf in the masjid, but even take a nap in the masjid. So for example, you can actually go spend time in the masjid and do i'tikaf and then take a nap in the masjid and wake up and then do some prayers and Quran and du'as. So you try your best. I mean, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, فَاتَّقُوا اللَّهَ مَا اسْتَطَعْتُمْ. That really should fear Allah to the best of your ability. And Allah don't compare yourself to everybody else. Someone, mashallah, he's doing i'tikaf for 10 nights. That's great. That's really good. But you ask yourself, where am I today? What level am I at today? And what can I do? Can I do better than I did last year? Maybe last year's 10 nights of Ramadan, you didn't do that well. So ask, what can I do better this year that I didn't do last year? So that's something that I recommend you to do. That really think about, how can I improve myself? How can I make this last 10 nights better than my last year's 10 nights? What can I do? What extra special things can I do? What is special good deed should I do? These are sort of questions I want you to begin. Jeanette asking, when do the 10 nights starts? They actually start on Tuesday night. So look at the day of the calendar where it says 20th of Ramadan. So the night of that. So 20th of Ramadan means the 21st night. 22nd of Ramadan is 23rd night. So it is so if it's actually starting this Tuesday, the 10 nights of beginning, which will correspond to, let me give you the exact date so that you can have it in your calendar. It will be on Tuesday, the 7th of July, inshallah. So Tuesday night is the beginning of the 10 nights, which is to be the 21st night. That's the beginning of the 10 nights of Ramadan. Now, inshallah, alhamdulillah, this year, the almost the whole ummah sort of fast in the same day. We all started fasting the same day. So hopefully the odd nights and even nights should be around the same time. But basically, if you start fasting the same day, then they choose this 27th, Tuesday, 7th July should be the beginning of the 10 nights of Ramadan, inshallah ta'ala. Okay. All righty. Okay. So I'm going to ask, I'm looking for questions. Okay. Aisha has an interesting question. What if you've not felt the Ramadan mood yet, right? The Ramadan mood doesn't it's almost like a catch-22. It's like you don't wait for the mood to hit you and then you start becoming more Ramadan focused. You got to push yourself. You got to take action. So if you've not felt Ramadan mood so far, then spend more time in the masjid. Spend more time reading the Quran. Write down a dua list that you really care about. Something you really, really, really want to ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Those are sort of questions you want to ask. So really ask yourself, what is, if you're not in the mood, basically, it's all about taking those actions that inshallah put you in the mood. I know it's almost like, this famous experiment where, let's say if you're feeling grumpy, if you force yourself to smile, you'll actually feel happier. Even if you let's say you have a really bad day, right? Just force yourself to smile will make you feel happier. The same thing, if you don't feel the Ramadan mood, what I recommend you to do is actually do the Ramadan actions. Go out there, give charity. Go out there, read some Quran. Go out there, write a dua list, make dua. Go out there and do i'tikaf. This will put you in the mood. So don't wait for some special mood to hit you. Don't wait for some special thing to occur to you. You got to take the action, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will open the hearts and make you feel closer to Him during this last 10 nights, inshallah ta'ala. Okay. Alrighty. So I'm looking at some more questions. Okay. So again, more questions about i'tikaf. So i'tikaf is basically, I said to you, is about seclusion, ideally in a place of worship where the 5 daily prayers are being sort of recited, prayed there. You got to be in not distracted. You're not distracted with you're not doing your work, you're not sort of spending time with family, you're just purely focusing on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Again, I highly recommend, I said to you, I'm not a scholar of fiqh scholars, I cannot give you the do's and don'ts of i'tikaf. I recommend that you do contact a scholar, either imam or local masjid, who can give you the scholarly definition of i'tikaf, the scholarly definition of what you can do, what you cannot do, how long it takes, when it ends, what breaks it, what doesn't break it, all that stuff. My role here is to give you the actions that you can do and help you figure out the routine, where you're going to do them and how you're going to do them. That's my role here, inshallah ta'ala. And I hope I've given you some practical tips to what to pack, what not to pack, and where you can make this how you can make the most of i'tikaf, so you're not distracted and you can stay focused in your i'tikaf. Okay. People asking about du'as and what sort of, a comprehensive, organized source of du'as. Again, what I recommend is really ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, from the bottom of your heart, of things you want, things that you really care about. Sometimes when you're going to import someone else's dua list, right, it's nice. You might sort of you might remember 2 or 3 things that you want to ask Allah for, but sometimes something that comes from you, something you really, really want, it's beautiful, and you connect to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You want to start this conversation with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It's not like, I have to read this book, or I have to make sure I tick these boxes in my dua. You want to have this conversation where you're always praising Allah, you're always asking Allah, you're always continuously, continuously seeking from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and that's how you make the most of these last 10 nights. So I highly recommend that you prepare dua lists that you care about. Now, of course, there are some du'as that are recommended. For example, Muhammad taught Aisha radiallahu anha the dua, Allahumma innaka afuwun tuhibbul afwa fa'fu anni, which is the dua you should recite in these last 10 nights especially. So these are things which are recommended at a certain time. But beyond these recommended du'as, you should always think about du'as that you really want, because that's how you connect and you become more spiritually connected to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, inshallah ta'ala. Okay, so someone else, can you give me advice? I will not sleep at night, and at day too. How do you sleep? Well, okay, fine. You'll definitely have to sleep. You cannot just not sleep at night and day as well. So what I recommend you to do is that figure out when will you take naps. For example, how many stretches of hours do we have our sleep webinar? If you go to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/productive Muslim, we did a webinar before Ramadan began about how to sleep productively in Ramadan, how to manage your sleep, talk about sleep cycles, naps, all the questions you have about sleep. So watch that webinar and learn from that webinar how to maximize your routine so that you do have some quality sleep, some 1 or 2, 3 sleep cycles, during the day, maybe 1 sleep cycle at night, and you can make the most of these 10 nights, inshallah ta'ala. So I recommend you to watch the webinar. We went into detail about, went into detail about this webinar, about sleep, inshallah ta'ala. Okay. All right. So again, I will say there are a lot of questions that are coming in that are related to fiqh related rulings, like things that are, is it halal, haram? Should I, how should I, what are do's and don'ts and stuff like that? Again, I'm not a scholar, so I cannot answer those questions. I'm only productivity expert. I talk about productivity, about routine, about energy, focus, time management. And inshallah ta'ala, this is the purpose of this is to get you motivated, excited about last 10 nights, and to get you practical tips. And I hope you learned some practical tips today on how to make the most of the last 10 nights. Yes, you will receive a recording of this after the webinar, inshallah ta'ala. So I recommend that if you registered, you will receive a recording, and it will be posted on our YouTube channel as well. So you can always go back to that webinar, inshallah ta'ala. Okay, so question by Hamza on how to develop discipline to an hour by hour schedule. Great question. So sometimes you have this great, let me show you what he's referring to. So we have this, we had this, I showed you this early on. We had this 1 hour by hour. Yeah, there you go. So this hour by hour schedule, right? And you might think, well, great, it's nice. I have this beautiful schedule. And then how do I stay disciplined? What if I mess up, right? 2 things. Number 1, having a plan is better than not having a plan at all. So if you have some plan, if you have some schedule, that's way, way, way better than not having, a plan at all. So what I would recommend you to do is to plan hour by hour and have that as your blueprint for living the last 10 nights. Then every single day, every night, you say, okay, how can I improve this plan? If things worked out, great. If things didn't work out, what can I do? Maybe if I felt more sleepy, I got to maybe add a couple of naps. Maybe if I did the i'tikaf in the masjid and I came back Fajr time, it was great. Alhamdulillah, it's awesome. I'll continue doing that. So you need to kind of tweak your plan until you get it right, inshallah, by the second or third night. So really, have a plan, don't instead of not having a plan at all, inshallah ta'ala. Okay, so Hannah asking, would you recommend us to shut down our use of social media and reduce? I mean, yes. I mean, to be honest with you, you really don't want any distracts you from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Because, if there's one thing you could do, if there's one thing you can give up, and sometimes the social media, you might think it's harmless, might think maybe it's sharing some du'as with my friends or some selfies and whatever. I really would say you're in a time where you are remembering, you're having this honest conversation with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You don't want distractions, don't want the social media distractions to come and occur to you. You want to be focused as much as possible. So I recommend if you can, again, I know some of you might be very hard, but if you can, just turn them off, right? And just give yourself almost like a promise for 10 nights. This could be your special thing. I'm going to say that what's the special thing? Maybe this could be a special thing. A special thing is I will not check social media for 10 nights. For 10 days and nights, right? And only on Eid day I will do that. And when Eid is announced, then I'm going to go back and sort of wish my friends Eid Mubarak. But for now, till 10 nights, I will not do it. And then you and just see how you feel. Yes, you'll get itchy. You might want to check it, really, really desperate, want to check it or stuff like that. But it really makes a huge, huge difference when you sort of just remove this distraction. You'll feel very, very calm. So I recommend you as much as possible to plan to sort of give up social media, especially during i'tikaf, but even throughout the whole 10 nights, and just focus on your relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and connecting to him, inshallah ta'ala. Okay. Okay. Great. Some of the questions. Regarding the template, guys, you can make it very simple on your spreadsheet. So again, just put in the hours they just put the 24-hour clock and put the number nice across. It's not rocket science. You can do it yourself at home. So you can just simply quickly do it in Excel sheet, or even draw a table. Just draw a table, 10 nice columns, and then hour by hour. Is very easy, guys. You can do it inshallah ta'ala. All righty. Sakina saying no social media last 10 nights. Awesome. Good job. All right. The dua for forgiveness, you can find this in many dua books, but it's basically saying, Allahumma innaka afuun tuhibbul afwa fa'fu anna. Allahumma innaka afuun tuhibbul afwa fa'fu anna. Allahumma innaka afuun tuhibbul afwa fa'fu anni. Okay, so this is the dua, inshallah. Alrighty. Okay, so guys, Jazakumullah khair so much for signing up for this webinar. It's been great to have you with us. I hope you benefited from this call. I hope you benefited from this webinar. And I ask you to please remember us in your du'as. Remember Productive Muslim. Remember Humanity International. Remember your brothers and sisters in Gaza and other parts of the world, inshallah ta'ala. Jazakumullah khair so much for signing up. It's been an honor and a pleasure to be with you guys. I hope you guys enjoyed this Ramadan campaign by Productive Muslim. We had 3 webinars with you. We did a webinar about sleep management. We did a webinar about how to be productive at work. And this is the 3rd and last webinar in Ramadan about how to lead a productive 10 last nights of Ramadan. Those of you who signed up for the Productive Ramadan online course, I hope you find it beneficial. Those who submitted your Ramadan challenges with us, we'll announce the winners on Eid Day, inshallah. Really, you guys have been, I hope you enjoyed this Ramadan campaign by Productive Muslim and how to have a productive Ramadan. And if you have any feedback for us, we really would appreciate it. Remember us in your dua. Remember the Productive Muslim team in your dua. Remember Human Appeal International and their team in the dua. Remember the brothers and sisters around the world. Jazakumullah khair. Subhanak Allahumma hamdik. Ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh.